There's a lot of weird stuff happening in business right now. And if you're looking at your company wondering if they might go out of business, if there might be layoffs, these are some of the indicators that might be a red flag that your company is about to go under. Number one, cash flow concerns. One of the most obvious indicators that a company is not doing well is issues with cash flow. Cash flow is the measure of how money is coming in and going out of an organization. And a healthy cash flow usually means that a company is bringing in more money than they're spending, or they're bringing in more money than are their debts. On the flip side, an unhealthy cash flow or a concerning cash flow means that there's not enough money to cover operational expenses, there's not enough money to pay people on time. And typically once a company gets into a cash flow issue, it's not far off that they're going to declare bankruptcy or some form of dramatic action needs to happen. You might notice things like delayed expense reimbursements, pauses on budget approvals, or an increased emphasis on cost cutting across the organization. The second sign is morale and culture shifts. A culture in a company is a reflection of how employees are feeling and how the company is doing overall. And typically, a healthy, excited culture is one that has employees who are satisfied and engaged. And a shift in morale, whether it's sudden or over a long period of time, can sometimes indicate that a company is not doing so well, because it usually signals an underlying issue across the organization. Some common signs to look for with culture shifts are things like high employee turnover, reduced team collaboration, and low productivity levels. These attitude shifts can result from layoffs, poor leadership decisions, and restructuring decisions. The third sign is high turnover rates. As mentioned before, high turnover rates can be a sign of low satisfaction or low engagement within an organization. However, it can be a long-term indicator of poor management and poor leadership if a lot of employees are leaving at the same time. If you've noticed an increase in people leaving the organization, or you've noticed a pattern of short-term employment, which means people come into the organization, they stay for 6 months to a year, and then they leave, that's usually not a good sign that the company is not doing so well. It's usually an indicator that a company is about to go under or they're about to have layoffs. Number 4, stalled growth and innovation. This is pretty obvious. If a company is not growing, if they're not innovating, it's usually a clear indicator that they're going the opposite direction. And what I like to look at when I look at an organization is how much are they investing in overall innovation, overall process changes within the organization? How much are they actually looking at what they're currently doing and saying, how can we make this better? A company that's typically going under looks at something and says, we need to figure out how to make it cheaper. A company that's doing okay, or the company that's satisfied with where they are, usually can say, we're doing something right, how can we make it better? And if the company is not innovating, if they're not growing, or if they're not fixing operational problems, it's usually an indicator that they're going in a negative direction. The last sign is decreased communication from executives. If you have been at a company and you've seen that there has been a lot of communication, that executives are talking to employees a lot, and all of a sudden they're talking to people less, or they're trying to sugarcoat things, or they're being really cryptic in their communication, it's usually an indicator that a company is not doing so well. And this is because effective communication is critical for an organization to succeed, and it's even more important for executives to tell people this is where we're going as a company. But if they themselves are trying to figure out the direction of the company, they can't talk to you about it because they don't know. If this sounds like your company, if any of these signs sound like your company, how do you as an employee navigate uncertain times within an organization that might be shut down or might have layoffs in the future? The first thing is to stay informed. Make sure you are aware of what's happening within your organization, what's happening in your industry, and what changes are coming about. The second thing you want to do is you want to skill up. You want to add to your repertoire of the things that you're able to do and the things that you're able to contribute to not only bolster your resume, but also kind of get yourself out there in the generalized network. Which brings us to number 3, network. It's never too early to start talking with people that maybe have a job that you want or an industry that you like, or maybe just to touch base with people that you used to work with. The stronger that you can create bonds across your network and the stronger that your network is, the more flexibility that you have to jump from another job to a new one if you so choose. Number 4, plan ahead. Whether your company is going under or you're expecting layoffs, you yourself can plan ahead, potentially saving up money for any issues, let's say an emergency fund down the road, or you can prepare your resume, you can get a career coach, you can figure out what direction you want to move in and start taking actions to make that happen. Number 5, you want to contribute positively to your organization. Even though your leadership is terrible, even though your boss doesn't understand you, even though you don't get along with your coworkers, you can still have positive interactions with your team or with your friends that you work with. whatever that looks like for you, if you can contribute positively to your organization, it puts you in a better light in the event that things happen that go south and they look to you and say, hey, we need you to stay on because we need your support. Now remember that all of these signs are not necessarily indicators that your company is going to be going under, but they are helpful to kind of keep aware of if you've noticed a trend that your company might not be doing so hot. And maybe you're wondering if it's time for you to quit the 9-to-5 altogether and start your own business. If that's you, check out this video that I made, and with that, I'll see you on the next one.